Hello there, math analyzers, and here we are for chapter 3, lesson 7 notes. We're going to factor trinomials that have an a value greater than 1. So that means the number in front of the x squared is bigger than 1 now. Now, if you had me for algebra 1, I taught you the same method that I'm about to teach because it's an organized way to guess and check. And whoever else you had teaching you how to do this just has you do a regular old guess and check, and that's perfectly fine. But I know how this can make things just a little bit easier for you, okay? So once you get this, what I call the 5-line method down pat, then it makes a whole heck of a lot more sense of practicing your factors, okay? So I'm just gonna show you how to set it up first with one problem throughout the notes. And then I'm just gonna do that one problem in front of you. Okay, that's kind of how I handle this if I were teaching live in class, okay, how to do this particular thing. So we call this the 5-line method because what you're gonna do is you're going to see your example, okay, this is your example. And the first thing you're gonna do, I'm gonna write down my example, hold on. Yep. Okay, so you have your example, okay? And the first thing that you're going to do under this, now again, all the things that I say, they're all written out here. Make sure to think about blah, 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 blah. Okay, so all those things, they're in your notes so you can look back at them after the fact. I'm gonna write this down separately and I'm gonna show you what you do. I notice that I have a number in front of the x squared. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is I know that this is gonna factor into two binomials because it's a trinomial, it just has a number in front of the x squared that I have to consider this time. I'm gonna take and write 5 lines, 2 under the front factor, 2 under the back factor, and then 1 line over here by itself. Under this 1 line by itself, and why this 1 line is over here by itself, I'm going to put my middle number and its sign, negative 19, okay? Because the next thing I do is I think about what's going to multiply to give me 7, what's going to multiply to give me 6, and how will those things cross multiply correctly to give me two numbers that add or subtract to a negative 19. And all that is an awful lot of stuff to have to consider. So let's start small and just consider, give me two numbers that multiply together to give me 7. 7's prime. You only got 7 and 1. 6. You got a couple of sets, okay? 2 and 3 or 6 and 1. And what I like to do is because a number in itself as the factors is usually pretty quick to eliminate, or it's pretty quick, you can see it as the answer. I like to use that first. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the number in itself, okay? 1 times 6 is 6. 7 times 1 is 7. Is there any way that 6 and 7 add or subtract to give me 19? So that order didn't work. But keep in mind, what if I flip this around and now have the 6 and the 1? Well, that's going to give me different factors here that could maybe add or subtract to give me 19. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 7 times 6 is 42. Whoa, okay, no, that's not gonna do it. So notice 6 and 1 isn't gonna work. So now I know 2 and 3 has to work somehow. So let's figure out how that would work best. Let's try it this way. 1 times 3 is 3, and 7 times 2 is 14. Oh, 3 plus 14 is 17. 3 minus 14 is 11. So that way didn't work. So it must be flipped this way that works. And let's try it. 1 times 2 is 2. 7 times 3 is 21. How can we add or subtract 2 and 21 to get negative 19? Well, 19 has to be negative, right? So 21 is negative and 2 is positive, then that would subtract to give me my negative 19, okay? Now, this now tells me how I can fill my binomials, okay? So what I do is, since the 2 came from here, I scooch the sign over. Since the 21 came from here, I scooch that sign over to be in front of that 3. And now what I do to finish is I fill my binomials from these straight across. Ready? It's 7x plus 2 and 1x minus 3. That's my final answer. How can I check that? Well, there's a couple of ways I can check that. The main way that I check it is to FOIL it and make sure that it works. Okay, so I'm just going to check it out, FOIL. 7x times x is 7x squared. Okay, that's good. 7x times negative 3 is negative 21x. Oh, I had a negative 21 right there. 2 times x is a positive 2x. Oh, I had a positive 2 right here. Okay, and then 2 times negative 3, that's a negative 6. Aha, because look now, these two are the like terms that then combine to give me the negative 19x that was in the middle. So it checked out. Those are my two binomials. I also want you to notice that the same rules are still applying that we're applying to factor trinomials that just had a 1 in front of the x squared. Okay? And that would be that if your n term is negative, these have to have different signs. The middle value is always the bigger sign. So see how the 7 times the negative 3, that needed to be negative to get me that negative 21. So that when those terms combined, I got a negative 19, right? So of these, the bigger value is going to have the same sign as the middle, okay? We're going to do a lot more examples of this. For those of you who learned 5-line from me before, I know it was pretty successful with you because I know who you are and I remember those days, right? But for those of you who are trying this new, let's do a couple more examples, okay? So of course, I already had the answer right here. And again, that's because the notes, all this is already written out of what to do. So everything I just said is typed out for you, okay? You just have to go back and read that if this is something that you want to continue using. So let's continue using it, right? It does kind of help organize your thoughts when you're thinking about the factors and cross multiplying them in your head. That's asking a lot to do in your head. I mean, some of us are really good at it and others aren't. And that's why I have this method here. So I see that I've got a number in front of my x squared that's bigger than 1. Okay. I make my 2 empty sets of parentheses. I put 2 lines under the front factor, 2 lines under the back factor, and then 1 line off over here on the side by itself. That's where I put this number and its sign underneath. Okay. Now, again, these are going to cross multiply to give me 2 values that add or subtract to give me a negative 4. And I can tell you right now that those are going to subtract to give me a negative 4. If your n term is negative, you subtract to get the middle, okay? Now, I do use a pencil every time I'm doing this and showing this because you're going to want to erase and do different things, different lines, okay, to try different things. Now, when you got a prime number in front of one of them, that's really nice. So 5 is prime, there's only 5 and 1. So those have to stay put. You don't need to move those around. But 9 is not prime. 9 has a couple of options, 3 and 3 or 9 and 1, all right? I like to get rid of the 9 and the 1, right, those ones quicker. So let me try this first. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 9 is 45. Well, that is not going to subtract to give me a negative 4. Negative 44 maybe, but not negative 4. Flip it around. 1 times 9 is 9. 5 times 1 is 5. Oh, 9 minus 5 is 4. So if I want a negative 4, that means I just have to have the 9 be negative and the 5 be positive. And now, okay, so the 9 came from right here. Scooch that sign over. The 5 came from right here. Scooch that sign over. And now you fill your binomial straight across. Okay, 5x minus 9, 1x plus 1. I don't write that 1 in front of the x, but you could if you wanted to. That's perfectly acceptable. Okay. Try the next one down. I like the next one down because they're both primes, right? So that's kind of nice. See a number in front of your x squared, make your two empty sets of binomials, 2 lines under the front factor, 2 lines under the back factor, and then 1 line off to the side where you put your middle number, middle value, and its sign right under there. And remember, we're cross multiplying. You don't need to keep putting these arrows if you don't want to, right? But I'm just, again, demonstrating, showing you we're cross multiplying to get this, right? So let's think. The only factors of 3 are 3 and 1. The only factors of 5 are 5 and 1. And you'll note that this time I have things in the correct order already. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So if 5 is negative and 3 is positive, I get a negative 2 in the middle. So now fill straight across. 3x minus 5, 1x plus 1. There you go. Let's do another one. Number 5. We haven't had a positive at the end yet, so let's see. We got a 3 in front of your x squared. Okay, 2 empty sets of parentheses, 2 lines, 1 line, negative 8 goes under that 1 line. We are cross multiplying the factors. So 3 and 1, 3 is prime. Love those primes, only 1 in itself, right? 4 is not. 4 has got options 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. And I know that you guys, some of you are like, oh, I've got that already, right? But let's try it. Let's try it. 4 and 1. Let's see. 4, 1, right? 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. That can add up to 7. Because remember, we're going to add to get to the middle this time. How do I know we're adding to get our negative 8? Because the end term is positive. So we have to add to get the negative 8. And that doesn't work. 4 and 3, 7, not 8. Flip them around if you want, but you get 13. I'll just prove it. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 4 is 12. And 1 plus 12 is 13. Still not 8. So 4 and 1 is out. So now try 2 and 2. And thankfully with 2 and 2, you can't flip it. It is this or not. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And if they're both negative, they add up to negative 8. And again, they have to both be the same sign. Because if the end term is positive, they are both the same sign in the binomials. Those rules still applying. This is great. So they're both negative, right? Sorry, I didn't scooch my signs over. They're both negative. 3x minus 2 and 1x minus 2. Both same sign as the middle because the end term is positive. We're adding to get the middle, same sign as the middle in order to do that. Okay? Okay. Sounded like someone wanted to talk on the announcements, but I guess not. All right, let me keep going. Number in front of the x squared, cool. And it's positive 19. And are we adding or subtracting? We're adding to get that positive 19. Because the end term is positive, we're going to add to get that. Okay, 5's prime, awesome. But 12 has a lot of factors. So 12 and 1, 6 and 2, 4 and 3. All right. We need to get 19. 4 and 3. Well, let's see. We're adding to get 19, so let's try it. 4 and 3, right? 1 times 4, 5. Yeah, look at that. Because if these are both positive, that adds up to 19. Huh. Well, that was a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. 5x plus 4 and 1x plus 3. See that organized guess and check. That makes it a little bit faster. Makes it a little bit faster for me to get right to that correct answer. Okay? A little bit more organized, a little bit faster for those of us who, don't factor in our head well. And that's okay. Not everyone does. Not everyone can be as cool as me. Positive 3, and we're subtracting to get it. Got it. Okay. 2 is prime. It's the only even prime number. All right. And 9 has some things, right? 1 and 9 are 3 and 3. What do you think? I think it's going to be 3 and 3. Because if I do 9, I get 7, right? 9 minus 2 is 7, or 17, because 2 times 9 is 18. So I think it's going to have to be 3 and 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Yeah, if it's a positive 6 and a negative 3, then they'll subtract to give me the positive 3 in the middle. Now, careful where your signs go, right? We got the 6 from this 3 right here. So put that 3 as the positive one. We got the 3 from this right here. So put the negative in front of that and then fill straight across. So 2x minus 3, 1x plus 3. And that fill straight across reason is because when you're doing the binomials here, they're cross multiplying when you FOIL. And so that's why we do that cross multiply in that particular sense. Okay? All right. Last one. Then you guys try, practice. Okay. 2 binomials. There's a number in front of the x squared. So 2 lines, 1 line, positive 27. We are subtracting to get the middle this time because the end term is negative. So let's see here. 7 is a prime number. 7 and 1, that's it. 4 is 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. Got to be 4 and 1. The reason I say that is because 2 and 2 just isn't going to give us enough number to get to 27 for the middle, right? We're going to get 2 and 14, and that's 16 when we add those up. And we're not even adding, we're subtracting to get this 27 in the middle. And again, I know that because we've got a negative at the end. So we're subtracting to get the middle. So it's going to have to be 4 and 1, and it's going to have to go here because 1 times 1 is 1, and 7 times 4 is 28. Now, if it's a positive 28 minus 1, you subtract to get this positive 27. So positive 28, negative 1, fill straight across. 7x minus 1 and x plus 4. So there we have it. Okay, guys. Let's see them. Show your work for this if you need it. If you are one of the fortunate people and cool people like myself who can do this in your head, fine. You don't need to see it. You don't need to show me this. But if you need help with this, please try this method. This method has worked for a lot of people who think that they aren't good at this. And then when they start using it and get used to it, they really find that they're good at the factoring when they have the time to think and they have this method to help them organize those thoughts. All right? All right. Goodbye, my fine math analyzers. I shall be seeing you for lesson 8 when we factor by grouping. Bye, guys.